News for you tonight. Trump lays it out on Kamala Harris for he says she stole over $1 billion to give to illegal migrants from the FEMA fund. This was supposed to be for flood victims. This was supposed to be for natural disaster victims that go through tornadoes and things like that. But Trump is saying, look, she stole this, gave it to illegal migrants. This was over $1 billion. People are getting literally felt like they got a slap in the face with what Kamala Harris said that they're only going to give $750, but yet they're going to give over $1 billion to illegal migrants. On top of that, she just went through an interview where she literally bombed it. She didn't know what to say. She sounded like she had no answer whatsoever to all the questions, looked so incompetent. This cannot be our future president. On top of that, this should be a landslide win for Trump with all the new data, with all the polls showing, but new data has come out that the Biden-Harris administration has been flying hundreds of thousands of migrants using the CBP1 app to swing states. Specifically, I'm going to show you the numbers, the percentages. It's going to blow your mind. The data doesn't lie. We've got also Josh Hawley, who is now going after Mayorkas for letting all the illegals in through the southern border. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. We got a ton of breaking news tonight. Appreciate all your support. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, it really does help. And also thank you to everybody that supports this channel with a super chat donation. Just want to let everybody know we're going to take all the membership money and the super chats, and we are going to donate the money to the flood victims from Hurricane Helene. So we want to do some good with this channel. And remember to join as a member. The link is in the description. We are going to bring positive change through this channel. But we got so much to go on. Let's jump right into it. Love all the members that are already in the chat, hitting it hard. Check it out.
If you want to see how sick and distorted Kamala Harris's priorities are, just consider FEMA. FEMA, you know what that is, right? The Federal Emergency Management Agency. And you read about now all the time because there's nobody that's handled a hurricane or storm worse than what they're doing right now. Kamala spent all her FEMA money, billions of dollars, on housing for illegal migrants, many of whom should not be in our country, including $1 billion for gift cards for illegal aliens and putting them up in luxury hotels with a gift card to welcome them to America as our veterans are sleeping on the sidewalks below those hotels and they're being walked into luxury hotels. Now we have a horrific disaster in North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, and Virginia. That's how big this hurricane was. And the Harris-Biden administration says they don't have any money. They've spent it all on, they spent all of their money. They have almost no money because they spent it all on illegal migrants. How would you like to be a veteran and you've been sleeping opposite the entrance to a luxury hotel and illegal migrants come in and they're going up and occupying the hotel? That's what's happening. They stole the FEMA money just like they stole it from a bank so they could give it to their illegal immigrants that they want to have vote for them this season. You know, they're trying to get them on the voters' roll. We cannot let that happen.
This is bombshell news that's coming out, but it's just not Trump. There's other representatives that are coming out and saying exactly what Trump has said because they have access. They see all the data. Check this out. Oh, sorry, y'all.
North Carolina is underwater, 1,000 people missing, while Pinellas County, we had 11 deaths, and we have a majority of our residents that aren't going to be able to come back to their homes because they're completely destroyed. You have Mayorkas, the Biden-Harris administration, and radical leftists in Washington, mostly in the Democrat Party, gave illegals $1.1 billion in housing assistance. People that never paid into the system. Mind you, they wouldn't have been here in the first place if they weren't campaigning on open borders, but that's a separate video.
This is Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. So she's in Congress, y'all. She knows what happened. They gave housing assistance to illegals from the FEMA fund over $1 billion.
You should be pissed. And if you think as a legislator, I'm not pissed and I don't see the games that happen in Washington hoping that you're not paying attention, because that's how it goes up there, is they hope the American people are too busy working to pay attention to the crap that they're doing. I'm telling you, you need to get out and vote, because this is not going to stop. It's just going to continue with the inflation, with the border security issues, and now we have Americans that are literally dying, not being able to get assistance, and the administration says, it's okay, we'll give you $750. Meanwhile, they said our tax dollars overseas to fund countries that don't need it, and they give it to illegal immigrants.
Because this is the thing that people aren't thinking about. There are people that are on oxygen. There are people that need, that are on like hospice, and there's people that are literally elderly that need assistance. They can't get just clean water right now. And on top of that, right now, she just did an interview, just totally bombs it. We're going through 3 huge disasters, and Harris has nothing to say. Check it out.
A trio of crises threatening to upend the race about a month before Election Day. Ports are shut down over a dock workers' strike that could cost the economy billions of dollars a day, threaten jobs and jack up inflation, a chaotic hurricane recovery that has survivors desperately pleading for basic necessities. And the Middle East on the brink of war as Israel molds a response to Iran's barrage of missiles. That all begs one key question. How can Kamala be trusted to handle it all when she's still fumbling her way through interviews like this?
Former President Trump says that you've had 4 years as vice president to do all the things you've promised in the campaign.
I'm going to go ahead and prepare you. I hope you're sitting down. What you're about to see is as bad as it gets.
They haven't done it. Is he right?
The former president is really becoming quite desperate, and is really been offering a lot of misstatements and misinformation. And perhaps it's because he wants to distract from the fact that he has offered no plan for the American people. My plan is about building an opportunity economy. What we've got on the other side is someone who wants to distract from the fact that his plan is about giving billionaires and big corporations a tax break like he did the last time.
And here's Donald Trump showing up in Michigan to hammer her record.
As bad as Kamala's failures have been, we have a plan to fix it, and we're going to fix it very fast. If Lion Kamala gets 4 more years instead of a golden age, America will instead be plunged into a dark age. The whole world is blowing up, and the biggest threat we have is World War III, and we have incompetent people, and she's more incompetent than Biden. I was in Georgia the other day, and after the floods, and they were having tremendous problems, in particular in North Carolina. It's really, really bad. Many people are missing, and our federal government is doing so badly. If I was president, the longshoremen strike affecting the entire East Coast and indeed the entire nation would never have happened in the first place.
All right, Dana, it feels like we're entering, or we're in the midst of chaotic times. We have these 3 issues. How will that focus the voter?
Well, I think that, so like if you're on the fence of whether to vote, chaos can certainly lead you to just make a decision and to get out there. And early voting is starting soon. And everything we're seeing right now is chaos. So if chaos is a motivator, you look at whatever your issue is. You could say inflation chaos, border chaos, Middle East chaos, supply chain chaos, and weak leadership chaos, because that's what you ended up having in the entire Southeast region. Now, that was a huge storm. There's a lot that Mother Nature can do that humans can't do, but you can respond. And the response has been late. There's just no doubt about that. And
Horrible.
I think what's most damning for Waltz was that in his debate performance, a lot of Democrats thought, oh, he will show that there's competence coming. And the Democrats who were saying, actually, no one ever cared about a vice presidential debate. That was their words, not even people from the Trump side. And there might be some people who are Kamala curious, like, oh, maybe I would consider voting for her. But consistently, we see independent voters saying, we just don't know enough about her. So she's an unknown entity. And what people want in times of chaos is seriousness. They want steadiness. They want substance. And because she is not giving them that, 75 days or 74 days without even really taking a significant number of media questions, the crescendo of all these chaos and crises happening all at once means, I think that's probably working in Trump's favor at this moment.
Judge, Dana brings up a good point. We're looking at Harris, but we kind of forgot that we still have a president out there somewhere. I mean, I'm pretty sure we have a president, but it feels like the Democrats kind of left the country in a lurch. And should we trust them when they try to convince us that Harris is capable?
Well, you know, I think that one of the most stunning things to me is if you're in a presidential race and it's like 50-50, it is so close. This is a political opportunity for you to go out there and show the American public that you are on the ground. You're getting help for those people in the areas where there was a flooding, and that, you know, you're taking the part of, you know, the United States and supporting Israel because we're on the verge of a larger regional war, if not a third world war. But they're not doing that. And that the clip that you showed right in the beginning when they asked her, you know, is it did Biden to Kamala not give you the opportunity to go out there and be yourself? Because people are saying you had 4 years to do it, and you didn't do it. She couldn't even answer the question. All she did was talk about Donald Trump, and I'm surprised she didn't talk about how nice her grass was. But in the end, this is all an opportunity. And the Democrats are not taking advantage of it. So when Joe Biden says, you know, we pre-planned for this, we've got everything ready. It's been a week. The National Guard is not on the ground. People don't have water.
No.
They don't have water. They don't have food. They don't have a bathroom. Some of them are not warm enough. They don't have medicine. You have an animal. You don't have dog food. I mean, I was through it. This is a nightmare. And you think you're in America. They're coming for you. They're going to take care of you. But in the end, Biden didn't. And we'll talk later about how he really didn't.
You know, this is something that I'm not joking. The data that's coming out now about this money that's supposed to be there for Americans, but it's not. It's there for other countries and illegals, but not for Americans. This is one of the saddest images that I've seen. This is a real photo of a little girl holding her puppy on a boat where it's flooding, and this is $750 for American victims, and this is $8 billion to Ukraine. Not only that, this is who, if you want to know who's getting all the money, I got a video for you. It's right here. Check this out. You want to know who's getting all the money? You want to know who got over $1 billion of the FEMA funds for illegal migrant housing assistance? Over $1 billion? It's this right here. Coming through, unvetted, don't know who they are, don't know where they're at, don't know what's going on. This is what is coming to our country, and it's heartbreaking because guess what? More data has come out that this is literally coming. This is how bad it's getting. This is coming from the House Judiciary Committee, that they have now said that 1.7 million of these illegal migrants that have come in are potential national security threats from the House of Representatives Judiciary Committee. We're not making this crap up. You don't think there's an agenda behind it? Look at this. This is from the Judiciary Committee. 1.7 million. That's a lot of people. And not only that, we also see that this is where they sent them to. The swing states. Look at the percent increase since 2021 of unauthorized migrant population. 400% in Georgia, 446% in North Carolina, 241 in Pennsylvania, 734 in Arizona. These are all swing states. Look how many, check it out. Arizona was only won by 10,000 votes. North Carolina was only won by 10, 11,000 votes. Look, this is why they say it's got to be too big to rig. Because this is the data that's coming out over the increases in illegal immigration population in swing states. This is why we have to be prepared, and this is why we have to vote and make sure that we are going as hard as we can with as much voting as possible for the right leadership. Check this out.
This is the fifth thing I just threw in before the show. We now find out that the CBP One app, Customs and Border Protection app, we'll call it the Amnesty app. The Amnesty app, okay? Because that's what it does. Cat turd. We got to get on this, my friend. Cat turd. This is the Amnesty app. That's what it is. It's basically an app, and I'm going to show you a video on tomorrow's podcast, how easy it is to just go in the app. It takes 5 minutes. You produce no credentials at all, and they give you what's called an NTA, a notice to appear. If this sounds insane, that you can basically be a terrorist in some South or Central American country or anywhere, go to an app, put in no ID at all, make up a name, and then fly into the United States with a notice to appear. That's what it is. And then they found this out. This is all this week, folks. The New York Post article. DHS threat report, this is Biden's DHS, warns that migrants with terrorism ties will continue to exploit border crisis. Folks, if you're a terrorist, you just apply on CBP One, they'll fly you right in.
Wow.
Just fake your name. You fly right in. This all happened this week. I didn't even mention the 13,099 convicted murderers in the United States under borders are harassed. We'll get to that in a bit too. This all happened this week. Now do you see why these scumbags in the DOJ and these fake judges, fake, they're hacktivists, that's all they are. Now do you see why they did this to interfere in the election? It's not gonna work, man. I'm telling you right now, I don't make predictions. Early voting is starting all over the country. Kamala Harris, look at this, 13,099 convicted of homicide, 15,811 convicted of sex assault, 425,431 convicted criminals under borders are harassed. You really think people voting right now are looking at this? I'm not talking about the liberals. You're insane. This is what you want. You love Jackson.
Hey, Mr. Tracy J. Norby with the super chat. He said, it's enough just to PO the American citizens who pay our taxes. I think everyone should have fair access to quality news. Thanks for your hard work, Joel. Thank you so much, Mr. Tracy J. Norby. Everybody, show Mr. Norby some love in the chat. We're going to do some good things with this money, y'all. I'm telling you, like I said, we're going to take super chats. We're going to take the members' money, and we're going to make a big donation to the hurricane victims because they ain't getting no dang help from the federal government. This channel will pull together to take care of our brothers and sisters. Appreciate you, Mr. Norby.
Than the communism. You think independent voters are looking at this and you don't think they realize what's going on right now? Folks, you're not prepared for what's coming in this election. Talking to lefties out there. You're not prepared. Mike MC1234 says it. Vote early, folks.
Yes.
Get out there and vote. That Verizon, I had a long conversation with a tech friend of mine in my investment space yesterday. That Verizon outage, this is my opinion, I'm just putting you out there based on a couple of different things. That may have been some kind of dry run. If the polls go down on election day, don't say I didn't warn you. The Democrats are voting early for a reason. Get your vote and bank it today if you can. Bank it today. Bank it today. Folks, the J.D. Vance interview was one of my 5 things they're trying to distract you from. The J.D. Vance debate. It was an absolute disaster for the left. Every single thing they tried to maliciously make you believe about J.D. Vance, oh, he's weird, he's a radical. You now believe about Double T, Tampon Tim. Everything blew up for them. This was a disaster. Is it going to change the entire trajectory of the race? It doesn't have to. I said to you yesterday, VP debates will maybe target 0.5 or 0.25% of the vote. But that could swing the election in swing states.
100%.
I want you to watch JD at his first post-debate appearance yesterday in Michigan, talking about and hammering home the message that independent voters, I think, are starting to see right now if you're still undecided. Kamala Harris is in charge. She's still the border czar. She's been in charge for 3.5 years. Stop pretending you have nothing to do with the chaos. You are the chaos. Kamala Harris is the chaos queen. Check this out.
I got to be honest, I feel a little bad for Governor Walz. And the reason I feel bad for him is because he has to defend the indefensible, and that is the record of Kamala Harris. And think about this. For the past 8 weeks, Kamala Harris, who never won a Democrat primary vote, has gone around the country saying that she is on day one going to tackle the affordability crisis that's making it hard for you to afford groceries, housing, and everything else. She says on day one, we're going to make energy prices lower for American consumers. And on day one, she says, we're going to tackle the instability and conflict all over the world. Well, Kamala Harris, day one was 1,400 days ago. What the hell have you been doing that whole time? Why don't you get to work instead of just talking about...
Ladies and gentlemen, you're my family, okay? You are. I have my family, my nuclear family, but you guys are my family. I don't get out much. I don't. Can you guys vouch for me here outside of hanging out with Arvin, the orthodontist? I don't get out much. I don't. It's not a sob story. I'm just not a social butterfly. It's a choice. You guys are my family. I told you guys, JD is just really, really good at this. I've known him for a while. We're not best friends. I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, we don't drink coffee together. Name droppers say and exaggerate their relationships. But I've known him for a while. He is just really, really good at this. If Donald Trump wins and the next 4 years we can turn the economy around, get us back on a solid global standing, rebuild our military, close our border, do you realize we have the chance for a 12-year run for Trump, for Vance? I don't want to reach too far. I don't want to get ahead of this next election. I'm just telling you, JD is really, really good at this. He knows and understands how to speak, how to lead, how to look the part, how to act the part, and how to talk the part. You may say, Dan, bring the receipts. That's your opinion. I got them coming up for you. I promise. I'm going to show you left-wing network coverage of focus groups after...
I'm telling you this, if we could get 12 years of MAGA, of Elon Musk, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, JD Vance, and then if Trump wins, Trump ain't going nowhere. He's going to be, a senior advisor or something, of the sort. We could literally change the trajectory of the United States in the most positive way ever. Because I'm telling you this, the most heartbreaking thing that we are seeing now that's coming from this dang administration is what you're about to see. It's heartbreaking how Americans are crying out for help, and they need it so badly. Check this out.
Over 220 Americans dead from Hurricane Helene, hundreds still missing, and loved ones crying in agony. Cadaver dogs have joined search and rescue crews to sniff out bodies stuck under structures. One North Carolina woman lost her parents and her 7-year-old.
I was stuck there for a very long time in the water, and I was, held down by roots and trees. And in that moment, in the midst of the chaos, all I heard was God telling me to be still and to stop fighting the water.
Your son, Micah, 7 years old, from what I've been told, you're wearing one of his T-shirts. You called him a superhero.
Yes, he wanted to be Deadpool for Halloween, and in his honor, I wore it today for him. Micah, man.
Tell us about Micah and the legacy that he's going to leave on this earth.
This moment. I'm so proud of my son because in his last moments, he wasn't screaming for me. He was screaming, Jesus, Jesus, save me. Jesus, I hear you. Jesus, I'm calling upon you. And his wildest dreams and everything that he wanted to be was a superhero. And that was his goal in life. And instead, he's my hero because he reached for something past flesh, past human, past anything that even grown adults, I think, would reach for. My son called out to the one God Almighty. And I think at that moment, he was rescued and he became my hero.
Helene's the third deadliest hurricane in American history, right behind Katrina and Sandy. If you survived, you're living without food, power, a roof over your head, and you're begging for help.
we're not getting the amount of support that we need.
We haven't seen FEMA, we haven't seen Red Cross, we haven't seen Hearts with Hands, we've seen no agencies come through here. Most people drive through with their cameras out, filming us like we're animals in a zoo, and don't stop.
How could the government do us like this, and how could the whole country just forget about us? Like, it's not enough. What is being done is not enough. I mean, there are entire communities that have been just decimated. Where is our government? I mean, for Kamala, and I am an avid supporter for her to stand in Florida today and make a statement. Where is our government?
Sources say over 1,000 troops in North Carolina are just sitting around doing nothing.
Let me tell you this. It all boils down to leadership. You know what Ron DeSantis is doing? Today he announced, he said, we're going to call the National Guard. We're going to pull them up. We need help. Let's do whatever we need to do, guys, to make sure that people are taken care of. That's what Ron DeSantis did. Governor Bill, I think his name is Bill Lee over Tennessee. Hey, we're pulling all the resources, every help. I know people that are personally going. They've got trucks, all this stuff that are going to help because they have the equipment to be able to do so. It matters so much on leadership, and to have our administration not stepping up. But Trump was there 2 days before Biden ever got there, or Kamala Harris. What does that tell you about the leadership? Tarina Smith, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate you so much. Virginia Lim, thank you so much. She said, Joel, thank you so much for all your hard work and providing us with the most up-to-date important news affecting our country. I appreciate you. I appreciate y'all so much. Tarina, Virginia, chat, y'all showing some love in the chat. We are going to help those individuals out. We are going to give where we can on this channel. We're going to do it live. I'm going to show y'all. Because look, this is transparency. We're going to bring the truth, and we're going to do some good with this channel. Thank y'all so much for those blessings. They're going to bless a lot of people.
Waiting for orders that haven't come. They haven't heard from the North Carolina governor, and the Biden administration's blocking ongoing rescue operations.
They're in the way. They are directly interrupting our ability to conduct missions and operations. And I'm not going to disparage anybody, because we are trying to work within partner relationships, both government and non-government entities within state and federal and county. I went to put a couple of people into a hotel last night, and they have a security guard at the hotel. And they said, "Oh, we're so sorry. The entire hotel has been booked for federal employees." And I was like, no, I have people that would just pull it out of a mountain that are living out in the hills, and there's not a place for me to put them because we have federal employees that are staying in the hotel. I slept in this white car last night. I smell like foot and death right now, as does every single person on our team.
The hurricane left thousands homeless, and the federal government saying, sorry, can't stay here, no vacancy. This is like when FEMA plopped down at the Four Seasons during the Maui fires. Remember that? And Mayor Pete won't let anybody fly drones to scout for survivors. It's against regulation.
There's also some safety issues that come up. For example, temporary flight restrictions to make sure that the airspace is clear for any flights or drone activity that might be involved in helping to allow those emergency responders to do their job.
Tiny drones aren't getting in the way of anything. Wow. This is all hands on deck. What, is Mayor Pete embarrassed that private crews are IDing survivors faster than the feds? Biden shut down the entire sky just for a look-see.
Yesterday, for President Biden's, dog and pony show to come in and see photos, he put a 30-mile TFR, which is basically a restriction in the air zone, which means that he actually stopped from 12 o'clock until 4 p.m. He stopped air traffic and helos from transferring supplies, dropping SAR teams, picking up individuals from medevacs. So that was not only irresponsible, but if you're going to come a week later, at least make sure that you're not trying to, hinder in any way further the actual operations that are being led by civilian organizations and veterans such as myself and others that are trying to do what is right. And so I found the entire response so far to be not just lacking, but irresponsible and inept.
Wow. Americans drowned while Biden was at the beach and Kamala was at California fundraisers. But they come in 5, 6, 7 days later and they say they're doing a heck of a job. Bush flew over Katrina and hit the ground 3 days later, and his presidency never recovered.
When the people of New Orleans and the Gulf Coast extended their hand for help, help was not there. We can talk about levees that couldn't hold, about a FEMA that seemed not just incompetent, but paralyzed and powerless, about a president who only saw the people from the window of an airplane instead of down here on the ground, trying to provide comfort and aid.
I covered.
Let me tell you that if there's anything, this should show you the leadership is Biden's on a beach. This is, like they said, the second worst hurricane we've ever had. They knew how big it was. The diameter of this hurricane was over 800 miles. That's the diameter of it. Hurricane Katrina was just 400. Biden's on the beach and Kamala Harris is at the fundraiser. Instead of hunkering down, being at Washington, having all hands on deck and ready to go because they knew it was going to be bad and being ready to act. No, they were just chilling. It's disgusting, y'all.
Katrina and Sandy as a producer, and the entire federal government stopped and focused everything it had on the natural disaster. Kamala Harris is in Wisconsin today campaigning with Liz Cheney. North Carolina is living in the dark because Biden and Harris hate Elon Musk. They stopped paying for his Starlink, which would have given internet to everybody in the hurricane's path, and now nobody can communicate. Elon says it would have probably saved lives.
Wow.
The White House spent $42 billion to wire rural America with internet, and nobody has internet in the foothills of North Carolina. Nobody. Biden and Harris had to be jawboned into loosening the purse strings.
When the first emergency declarations came down, there was only 11 counties in that. A lot of people were outraged, including me, because there was such devastation in up to 90 counties. So we called the White House. We spoke to the president's chief of staff, the FEMA administrator, and said, "Look, you're sending the signal that you're not paying attention to some of these rural communities."
Communities underwater, and the federal government all of a sudden has alligator arms. Usually they just print money. Now they're tossing you $750 and saying, get yourself something nice.
The federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met.
The Biden-Harris administration has spent hundreds of billions of dollars overseas. We give more money to our enemies. $500 million to the Palestinians, $6 billion to the Iranians.
Crunk Jews back in the chat said, I've lived through 2 Category 5 hurricanes back to back. I can tell you it's the worst feeling when you lose everything, and the mosquitoes that followed was like a plague. I wish this on no one. Thank you so much for the super chat. Everybody, show Crunk Jews some love in the chat, as well as Juanita. Hold on. Let me get this right. Oh, my thing's not working. Juanita, thank you so much for the super chat. E. Chavez, so glad to be a part of this channel. Thank you for wanting to help these precious hurricane victims. 100%, guys. We are going to give a huge donation through the members of this channel, through the super chats, to help these people out, because this is disgusting. The administration is not stepping in like they're supposed to. Love you all for supporting the cause. Let's go.
Or even here. We spent $500,000 for an anti-racist oyster reef in AOC's district. She lives in Queens. They're not even fresh. $750 per person in America. After you lost your entire home, all of your belongings, and you have no food, power, or water. Where's the money?
We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
So where'd the money go?
Where'd it go?
In the last 2 years, the Biden-Harris administration spent $1 billion of FEMA money on illegal aliens. $1 billion. So foreigners had free hotel rooms and culturally appropriate food, which they threw in the garbage. We bought them Xboxes. This doesn't even include taxpayer-funded college tuition for illegals or illegal alien sex changes. When American citizens, the ones who were born here and pay taxes, deserve help, Biden and Harris are saying, sorry, we gave it all away to the people who broke into the country. We just found out last week that 500,000 of the migrants here are criminals, rapists, convicted murderers. And the Biden-Harris administration gave people like that money before they gave hurricane victims money. This was Trump just moments ago. Listen.
And all her FEMA money, billions of dollars, on housing for illegal migrants, many of whom should not be in our country.
Wow.
Including $1 billion for gift cards for illegal aliens and putting them up in luxury hotels. With a gift card to welcome them to America as our veterans are sleeping on the sidewalks below those hotels and they're being walked into luxury hotels.
This is probably one of the biggest scandals of the Biden administration, and there's been many. This scandal is criminal because people are dead, and more people will die today, tomorrow, over the weekend. Kamala Harris just doesn't have the right priorities. She wants hurricane victims given resources based on their gender and skin color.
It is our lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions and impacted by issues that are not of their own making. And so
women.
Absolutely. And so we have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities.
If these were Democrat precincts, would Kamala handle this the same way? I'm not even sure it's fair to speculate, but Republican counties have been the hardest hit, and there's an election coming up. How are people going to vote if their polling places and mailboxes are obliterated? But voting's secondary. Safety is the #1 priority.
Yes.
And we're not saying there's an agenda, but why has the federal response been so inadequate? And Hollywood doesn't care. Where's George Clooney raising money? Where's the telethon? Same thing happened in East Palestine. Same thing happens when a migrant brutalizes a little girl. Silence. People who weaponize virtue have nothing to say when 5 states get wiped out. We'd like all Americans, wherever you live, wherever you are, to please donate to the Red Cross. Every little bit helps. Because when the federal government doesn't come through, it's up to you and I and all of us to help our brothers and sisters out.
I'm telling you what, and we will. Thank you so much, Calico Jane, for the super chat. They said, everyone do 1 super chat and double the donation. That would be amazing. Guys, I'm telling you this, that it breaks my heart because he was so right. I didn't even realize that. All the states that were affected are red states. Is there an underlying reason? Because when you give all this money to illegal migrants, over $1 billion, and yet when the people that need it the most, I haven't seen anything on X where celebrities are trying to raise money to help these people out. I don't see anything popping off on X where George Clooney or any of these big ones are like, hey, let's band together, all donation. It was Trump that stood up and started the GoFundMe. And it just blows my mind. But this, I'm going to show you the root because this just happened and this is what needs to be acknowledged. Check this out. Everybody show Calico
Thank
some
you,
love
Mr.
in
Chairman,
the chat.
Mr. Secretary. Thank you for being here. Let me start with what I hope is a simple question. Do we need to have more or fewer people coming to our southern border?
Senator, we are working on diminishing the number of people whom we encounter at our southern border because of the challenge it presents. We're trying to build lawful, safe, and orderly pathways to accomplish that.
Okay, fewer. So we need to have fewer, which means we need to roll back incentives to come. So I would have thought that would have been the answer. Let's talk about what you're doing, though.
Caroline Wilkerson, thank you so much for the super chat. Everybody show Caroline some love in the chat. Y'all are so amazing. This is what this community is all about. The True Life News family is going to come together to give back and bring positive change.
In January of this year, you rolled out a new phone app called CBP One, an app for a cell phone. I've got a picture of it behind me here. This phone app allows, and I'm going to quote from your own fact sheet, it allows, and I quote, non-citizens without appropriate documents for
Oh, come on, yo.
to schedule an appointment to come to the border. They can now go on their phone and schedule a time to come to the border and then be admitted. And you identified 7 separate border points of entry where they could come. 5 of them in Texas, 2 of them in California, 1 in Arizona. It's like a concierge service for illegal immigrants. My question is, you didn't think the border crisis was bad enough that now we're going to have an app that allows illegals to schedule their appointments and come and be admitted to this country?
Senator, you're mischaracterizing the use of the application. Let me explain it to you. We are currently enforcing the public health order of Title 42, and I know you're very familiar with it. There is a process for individuals who claim an exception to the Title 42 expulsion authority because of an acute medical condition.
Well, let's talk about this app.
If I may finish, an urgent humanitarian reason. So instead of them coming in between the ports of entry to claim that urgent medical condition, that extraordinarily acute humanitarian cause, we allow a limited number to arrive at our ports of entry and seek the emergency relief that they need.
Schedule, you allow them, let's be particular about what you do.
And I should say that the CBP One app was not unveiled for the first time on January 5th of this year.
Oh, no, but you changed it. You made it available on January 5th to the illegals themselves. You don't have to be a lawyer to use it. You don't have to be a member of a non-governmental organization. Anybody can download the app and use it on their phone. And for the first time, you allowed them to schedule appointments. Now, let's talk about what actually happens when they come to the border. It's interesting. You characterized this when you rolled it out as an application for applying for asylum. But nowhere on the app do you actually require the illegal migrants to apply for asylum or to claim asylum or anything about asylum. And in fact, when they then get to the border, you don't ask them questions, you don't do interviews, you just release them. Here's the Texas Monthly, not a notable conservative outlet, who reports, and I quote, "At no point does the app ask users, are you seeking asylum? Those arriving for the CBP One appointments are given no interviews, asked no questions about vulnerabilities that they may or may not have listed in the app or about why they're coming."
Grizzly Martin, thank you so much for the super chat. We are raising some big money for these victims. Show Grizzly some love in the chat, everybody.
In the United States, they're simply released into the country, end quote. So rather than building a wall, Mr. Secretary, you have built Ticketmaster for illegal immigrants.
You are, Senator, you are conflating programs. Let me explain
just
to you.
Respond to this. Is it true that they are given no interviews, asked no questions, and simply released into the country?
Let me explain to you what we announced on January 5th.
No, I want you to explain to me what's happening. I know what you announced. I read it to you.
So I will explain to you what is happening.
Are they given interviews? Let's start with that. Are they given interviews?
We were previously experiencing
That's starting to sound like a no. Well, let's just hone in here. Mr. Secretary, my time is very limited. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to drive to some clarity here. The Texas Monthly has reported that once illegal immigrants go on their phone and reserve their time to come to the border, once they use your concierge service that you've created for them, when they come, they are given no interviews. They are asked no questions about any vulnerabilities. They are simply released into the country. Is that happening?
Senator, you are mistaken. And if I may explain.
Are they given interviews?
If I may explain, individuals who seek parole under our January 5th program for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans are screened and vetted before they arrive at our border.
Wait a minute. No, they go on the phone and they just reserve a time and then.
Brenda Crothers, thank you so much for the blessing. This is going to be so good for these people. Everybody, show Brenda some love in the chat.
They show up and they're given nothing. Listen to this. Even immigration advocates are amazed about this. Here, also from the Texas Monthly, here's one immigration advocate whose first name is Orta, she says that's the crazy part. Nothing in this new program requires you to actually seek asylum. Somehow, we've decided to punish those who arrive at the border without the app, who may be seeking asylum, but we just let in anybody who may or may not have any particular reason to seek asylum, so long as they've made an appointment on your Ticketmaster app. This seems crazy to me.
Senator, it's a complete...
Like I said, everybody, we bring the truth on this channel. What you're seeing right now, you're not going to see on any mainstream media, but this is what's really happening behind the scenes in our country.
Mischaracterization of the program that we announced and are implementing.
So how many people have used the app then?
That you are referring to. So if I can explain.
How many people have used the app?
So we had a significant surge of Cubans.
How many people have used the app?
Nicaraguans and Venezuelans.
Mr. Secretary, you're here to answer my questions. How many people have used the app?
Tens of thousands have sought to make an appointment at the port of entry under our parole program.
Okay, good. How many have been admitted without an interview at the border?
You are, again, inserting a fact that does not belong in your question. So if I can, I will get you the precise...
I'm reading to you from public reports about how your own app works. You're just blanket denying. Actually, you're not quite denying it. You're saying that maybe we don't understand. Apparently, I don't understand. Texas Monthly doesn't understand. Immigration advocates don't understand. You're the only one who understands, yet you won't answer my question. How much did this cost to develop, by the way?
Senator, I don't have the cost, but let me share with you a critical
Well, will you get it for us?
Let me share with you a critical
Will you
fact.
get us the cost of to develop this app?
Happily.
Did you contract with a tech firm to develop it?
Senator, we have seen approximately...
Did you contract with a tech firm to develop it?
We have seen an approximately 95% decrease.
Did you contract with a tech firm to develop it? Yes or no?
Senator, this was led by U.S. Customs and Border Protection, our technical experts within the agency, and I certainly will get an answer to your question whether outside consultants were utilized
in the
development process.
You don't know.
May I explain to you, since you have a misunderstanding of the program, what it is and the impact, the positive impact it has had on encounters of these four populations in between the
I just want to know why it is that you are allowing people to come to this border to make appointments, to not be interviewed, and then how many have just been released? Is it true, by the way, as the Texas Monthly reports, that they're simply released into the country on official parole? And get this, they're not given, according to their reporting, any kind of follow-up. Their court dates are in immigration courts, the Texas Monthly reports, not even necessarily asylum trials. They're often general deportation hearings where defendants can make arguments for remaining in the country. Is that true?
That is a completely mistaken understanding of how the immigration process works. That language is completely confusing and erroneous.
Well, it is confusing. What's confusing is why anybody would think that an app like this to allow illegal immigrants to literally reserve a time to come to the border and then be ushered in without an interview, without follow-up, without tracking is stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Let me ask you in my very short time remaining something else about Chinese nationals. I've only got a minute left.
That is false.
Let me ask you about the Chinese nationals who we all saw coming over the border, busloads of them, and then being released in the American interior. What's the percentage increase of Chinese nationals who crossed the border this year, Mr. Secretary? Let's just focus on maybe the Rio Grande Valley sector.
The number of Chinese nationals encountered at our southern border has increased significally.
Do you know how much?
I don't have the precise percentage.
I do. It's 900% just in the Rio Grande Valley sector. Are any of these people who came in this bus, these Chinese nationals, members of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, if an individual presents a national security or public safety threat, we detain them during the pendency of their...
That's not quite true, because remember what we showed you earlier. I want to let them finish, but remember this. The House Judiciary released this. The Biden-Harris border crisis, at least 1.7 million potential national security threats. That's how many have come over. 1.7 million potential national security threats. You can't believe what these people say. This right here is why we bring the facts and we show you this dude needs to be held in contempt. They already impeached him, but he needs to lose his job.
But that's not what I asked. I asked if they're members of the CCP.
During the pendency of their removal proceedings.
Are any of these individuals members of the CCP?
So
I think there's about 70 who came on this bus.
If indeed they are determined to be a national security threat or a threat to public safety, we detain them pending their removal proceedings.
Were any of these individuals detained, or were they released into the interior of the country?
I don't have awareness of that particular group of individuals.
And so you don't know if any of them were members of the CCP? Or actually, you do know, you just won't say.
I don't know from the photograph, Senator, to whom.
But surely you know about the folks who you've read this report. You're the Secretary of Homeland Security. You're aware of these individuals. Were any of them members of the Chinese Communist Party coming into this country?
Senator, you're providing me with a group of individuals without names, identities, or...
So you're not familiar with this incident that was widely reported on at the southern border? Don't you think it's strange that we have busloads of Chinese nationals coming across our southern border? I'm asking you, from a hostile country, I'm asking you if they're members of the Chinese Communist Party, and you don't know, apparently, you won't say.
We are very focused on all things with respect to the People's Republic of
But
China.
you don't know any of the details. I plead exhaustion, Mr. Secretary. You have exhausted me. You have exhausted this panel. You have exhausted the paper.
Look at Ted Cruz sitting beside him saying, man, if I could punch this dude in the face.
To the American people, you should resign.
Ooh, I agree. I don't like it that not only did they just allow them to come over, I've shown you the videos. These are undeniable. You cannot deny these videos that I've shown you on this channel that they're coming through, running across, and then they went ahead and made it easier for them. Let's just create an app. Tens of thousands are coming in. They're not being vetted, not being interviewed or anything like that. We got a real problem on our hands, but you know what? We're going to work together to bring some good in this world. Just want to say thank you to everybody that has donated tonight. We couldn't do this without you. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I want to serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the truth, to grow this channel. But we're going to take the members' money. We're going to take the super chats. And we're going to make a huge donation to the hurricane victims on this channel. I've already shown you that we're already doing this. You go look back at the video feed. Last month, we gave to Isaiah 117 House to help out kids that are going through the foster care system. This month, we're going to help out those that have, been hurt and devastated by the hurricane. Let's give some shout outs right now. Mr. Tracy J. Norby, Tarina Smith, Virginia Lem, Crunk Juice, Juanita Chavez, Calico Jane, Caroline Wilkerson, Grizzly Martin, Brenda Crothers. Everybody, show them some love in the chat. Thank y'all so much for this. We are so blessed to be a part of doing good in this world, of bringing the people together, growing this community. We're so close to 150,000 subscribers, and we're going to keep pushing till we get to 1 million, and we are going to do some freaking good in this world, and we're going to put that flag first, and we're going to put Americans first. I love you all, appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.